Good morning, happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you slept well. I hope you got up to some nice activities at the weekend and hopefully the sun was shining as it was here. So another Monday in this world where many of us are still at home because our children and young people are at home, when in a previous reality they would have been at school, and we're at home because our children are at home. But also many of us, our work hasn't gone back to what it was before. Many of us are still working from home and having children at home, and it's been a good time of that. And maybe some of us have fallen into new patterns that we actually maybe like more than before, but for others maybe we're feeling tired, maybe we're really feeling ready now to get back to seeing more people. And so remembering that we're doing this because there's still a global pandemic and the coronavirus, and things are starting to change. We are starting to be able to relax the restrictions, but I don't know about you, but I think I'm feeling it hardest right now, and I think that's for a lot of reasons. And for me, the main one is that I'm just really tired, and that might seem ironic because, you know, life isn't as busy, although if I'm honest, for me it is, because during my working day, when I've made this video each day, I go and I work, sit at the computer, and work is really busy. And I think maybe it's easy to forget that we are, some of us, still very busy. And so I need to follow my own advice, which is to make sure I recognise that. So also I've talked in the past about feeling a bit overwhelmed sometimes by all the news. And I've realised that I've been a bit overwhelmed, particularly around Twitter and being on Twitter too much and kind of almost letting the voices of too many people into my head. So I'm doing a bit of and just reminding myself that what's important is today, in the house, the people I'm with, the people on the end of my emails and the people I speak to in meetings. They're also important. So when I'm with them, I give them my attention and my focus. But I also need to remember that I need a bit of time to rest and recover. And that I think a little bit of this for us as parents is that we've had to do a lot of kind of worrying. And even if we haven't been aware of it, I think as parents and carers, because there's been a big threat to life, to our lives, to our children's lives, we will have been doing a lot of protecting and a lot of worrying and a lot of nurturing, and we need to just remember that that may have taken its toll on us, that giving out, that looking after. So we have to remember to look after ourselves, and that can be difficult to do. And I have a habit that when I need to look after myself, I've got this slightly perverse thing that I tend to do less of it. So I've heard that I don't know if this is right, so please, if I'm not right on this, don't quote me, but I've heard that sometimes people with blood sugar issues and diabetes can have that similar sort of thing. So even they need sugar, but they resist it. Or they need, glucose, isn't it? So, but then they get angry and they resist it and they say, no, I don't want to eat. I don't want that thing. I don't want my insulin. It's insulin, I think. I've probably talked a whole load of non-scientific nonsense there, but I think there's almost that sense that as we get more exhausted, we can be less likely to look after ourselves. So I think that's something to bear in mind. So I'm a teacher, I work in education. I'm not teaching in the classroom at the moment. I've been out on a secondment, and I wouldn't have been teaching in the classroom anyway, in the real classroom. But I've got a holiday coming up in 2 weeks' time, and so at that point I'm taking 6 weeks. I am not going to be making videos. I'm going to have a proper holiday and take some time off. And I think that's an important message, that when we can, we need to take time for ourselves. And that's not a selfish thing to do. It can feel selfish, and it certainly as a teacher can feel really selfish when you think, well, why 6 weeks? But and I will be doing things. I'll be writing, but reading, but I need a break. And the other thing to say with this is, I think some of it has been around the fact that we've kind of been running this marathon, haven't we? It's been quite a long time, and there's just, I think, a slight fear that we think we've got the end in sight, and then it almost feels as though they might tell us we've got to keep going for a bit longer. And I've never done a marathon. I have done a half marathon, but I do know about the psychology of running, which is that when you're in a race or a run, like a long run, you hit a wall where you think, I can't go on. And then you go through the wall and you carry on because the finish line's in sight. And the difficult thing can be if you hit that wall and you think the finish line's in sight, but then the finish line becomes a little bit further away. And I think with this pandemic, it's those kind of feelings of, I don't know how long this is going to go on for. And for me, again, the answer to that is, in the house, today, this week, what can I do? So, a bit of random waffling there. But stay safe, stay well, take good care. See you tomorrow.